Hello, my lovelies. As part of Toast to 2024 with Rachel Hoffman and the VDC, I'd like to welcome you to my little corner of the world in the Pacific Northwest. My name is Sinead Cannon, and I create under the Faerie Rags and Friends name, as well as Mudwood Cottage with my grown offspring. We have chemical sensitivities that make working in the wider world health compromising. I'm technically housebound. I would like to take you on a little studio tour, but before we head inside, let's take a peek at what Josephine is creating in the pottery shed. This is where the tiny containers and little mugs are created for Mudwood Cottage. Oh look, my little friend Essie. He wants to show us the way. Lead on, Essie. Hi. Well, shall we head inside? This is the studio. It's a nice, cozy little spot with lots of inspiration. The walls have pages from Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, and plenty of fairies. We can begin with a look at the high-rise to your left. This is the top 2 floors of the high-rise, a cabinet that will have different scale apartments on each shelf. Currently, there is only 1 floor finished, but I still make full use of it for storage and keeping a few dolls where I can enjoy them. On the top shelf to the left are my mother's dolls, and I believe their outfits were crocheted by my grandmother. There's a 144th scale house I built from a kit, a composition baby without any identifying marks that I cleaned and restrung. Her gown and booties may be original, but I knit her sweater using a baby sweater pattern with smaller gauge needles and yarn than what was called for. She's holding a piglet I made 25 years ago. And then there's my 11-inch Shirley Temple wearing a reproduction outfit made by me from the Bluebird of Happiness. There is one other of these outfits out in the wild. I also made her little bluebird. On the second shelf are a group of Bally Blighs, a fey creature of my own design, and there is a pattern available on my website if you want to make one of your own. Thor just needed to hang out and keep an eye on things. Next to him is another composition baby. She had been repainted before I bought her. My Kessner head sitting next to her is all that remains of my great-aunt's doll. I started restoring her, but ran into some issues with paint and ended up taking several steps backward. Then life happened. Anyway, I hope to get back to her this year. The next 2 are resin BJDs by Sandra Maxwell. They are both pumpkin pies with face-ups by Tana. And then there's a Nappy Chew Delang, also a BJD by Soom. I have a few sewing patterns and a crochet pattern available for the Nappy Chew. And at the end is a fancy Bally Bly. We'll explore the next floor a little bit later. We've stepped into the room and are looking back at the way we came in. These are my only Barbies, all reproductions. Midge, the Bubble Cut, and Ken are all Silkstone. Ken likes Grace's t-shirts, especially this beach-related one, and I think we all know why. The ladies next to them are Lika Chan by Takara Tommy. The computer, where all the hard work happens. And that's Uncle Ned. He also likes Grace's t-shirts. He's a click-and-play action figure. Next to the high-rise, I keep some accessories for photos, and then there's the shipping workbench. Admittedly, there are also tools kept in there. You can also see my faithful featherweight sewing machine on the desk. This one is from 1940. And leaning against the machine are Geraldine, made from a vintage Joan Russell pattern by me in the late 1990s, and my current work in progress. She requested a dress for Modesty. I'm planning to use her and others for storytelling on my YouTube. Essie has already been putting in some work on that, as you saw earlier. Moving on, sewing and crafting supplies are in the white cabinet. The trunk is full of kits waiting to be assembled, and there are more supplies in boxes where someday I'll have a cabinet. The file drawer houses patterns with my tavern scene sitting on top. There's a reindeer hanging out in the paint booth, wondering when he's going to get some antlers. And I keep paint supplies in the safe. What, doesn't everyone have a safe to put random things in? No? Well, this is actually the best use I've made of it so far, and I had to have it. My name is on it. I've turned the Club Grace stickers and images into magnets so I can move them around, and there are even some pieces of doll jewelry stored on the safe. Above the paint booth hangs my copper tree. It has some history. I created it for a local Shakespeare production of Much Ado. It was covered in greenery at that time and was held the other way up. I removed the greenery, and it stood in as a Christmas tree for a couple of years until one year when we had no place to put the tree stand. So I turned it over, wire-wrapped a hanger, and hung it from the ceiling, which is how it stayed, but instead of Christmas, it now has crystals and other ornaments like the wooden ballerina I carved over 25 years ago for a child's birthday cake. Now, I'd like to take you back to the high-rise to see the BJDs modeling some of the clothing made using patterns available in my shop. Here's a real Pookie So-So, a BJD by Fairyland. He's the one that got me into making patterns to sell. I couldn't find any sewing patterns that fit the real Pookie, so I began making them, and as my collection of BJDs expanded, so did the patterns. The largest of the tiny patterns I've created are for the 15 to 16 centimeter crowd, or 1/8 scale, like Nikki Britt's Elemento, Fairyland's Pookie Fee, and Lut's Tiny Delph. There are also some in this size range who are slimmer, so I made a few just for them. I have a Tula Mini Me by Charles's Creature Cabinet here. I also did a few for his potbellies. I have an elf hog troll and a couple of others who refused to come out for this. And while I didn't do any patterns for his 30 centimeter Fuga Firefly Fairy, she had some baking she wanted to do. Over here are a Nikki Britt Itty Britty Elemento and a Fairyland Pookie Pookie, who wear the same size. And behind them are the special request Tycho Quint patterns. 3 of them are being modeled by Lika Chan's triplet siblings and a single Tycho Quint. This was a fortuitous request because the proportions were right for scaling down to use for the micros. In the bassinet, I have another of Charles's fairies, wearing the full-scale Tycho pattern, and a micro wearing the same outfit at 56% and another at 65%. And over here are 2 more of Charles's fairies, and Robert Tonner's Amelia Thimble, who all wear the same size clothes. And Nefer Kane's Susie is standing next to them, and she wears a lot of the Pookie Pookie clothes, but her ample backside limits you to the fuller styles. Bachelor, also by Nefer, has 2 dresses available, but if you don't mind mixing and matching the bottoms from the 8th scale patterns and the tops from the 12th scale patterns, they work for this Pagoo style body. The Cindys are just hanging out, waiting for some of those baked goods. I think the cake may be done. I've kept my patterns fairly simple because the scale can be really challenging, and I try to list as many of the BJDs and dolls like Kelly or Petite and Mitty Blythe that I've tried the clothes on successfully, so you'll have more information to work with. All of my patterns have a lot of photos to show how to perform the steps, and all of the patterns are priced at $2.50. Now, I think we should meet some of my dolls. I have 3 crochet patterns. A basic doll that also includes instructions for ears, noses, and tails to make animals as well, and a pattern called Lisa that is the basic doll, but with a wig, dress, and gown included. Unfortunately, I don't have an example of her here. This is my chibi bear that includes an optional wig and overalls. I also took the bear pattern and made this monkey by shifting the ears and adding a tail. Next, there were fairies. I wanted them to wear the Pookie Pookie clothes, so they are 11 centimeters tall, and I wanted them to be posable. There is a pattern for them that includes instructions for a Chanel stem armature, several wigs, an outfit, and embroidered wings. I will also make one for you, and now offer a movable head option. The original is fixed in place. The wings will be this type rather than the embroidered ones. There's a listing on my website where you can see skin tone options and hairstyles available, but you can always contact me if you want something special. This is the baby fairy. It is 45 millimeters tall and available as a pattern or custom order with or without wings. I find the butterfly wings are more fun than the felt ones, but most of my orders have been for babies without wings because they make great dolls for your dolls. I found when I started making more dolls to sell, I wanted Fae names for them instead of just referring to them by size, which was a little boring. So my daughter and I came up with brownies, gnomes, dwarves, and elves, and there are plans for a pixie in the future. The brownies are 15 centimeters tall, available as both a pattern and a custom order. The arms and legs are button jointed to the body, with the stuffing done so that the elbows and knees bend, and the feet now have the option of tippy-toe stance or warrior stance, where the feet are flat. Both are included in the pattern, along with 3 wig styles, an outfit, and the option of using magnets to attach the head or stitching it in place. Both allow for turning, but the head tilts better with the magnets, and dressing can be easier with a removable head. On the custom orders, I can paint the facial features instead of embroidering them as well. The gnomes are 20 centimeter, and I did not produce a pattern for them. They are also button jointed and stuffed in the same manner as the brownie. I like elbows and knees. They have the magnets attaching their heads, painted facial features, and I have done a couple of batches of them as well as the Holland Diane doll. One group was of Dolly Dingles and one as Fae or Fairy. Other options are available upon request. This is the dwarf. She is 30 centimeters and was made using the brownie pattern at 200% scale and is available for custom order. I embroidered her eyes separately and then applied them, but I think painting them would work out better as these are a little proud. With the larger scale, I used stronger magnets than on the brownie, but her head is still a little floppy, which actually makes her an adorable infant. I have also made 2 elves, which are 36 centimeters tall, but both of them ran off to live with someone else, so I'll see if I can insert some pictures here. The elf has a similar sized head to the dwarf, but with a bigger body, and her neck is longer, eliminating the wobble. All of these dolls have custom order listings on my website, where you can see skin tone options and hairstyle options, or you can contact me. Any dolls still available for immediate shipping will be on my website. The most magical aspect of my studio is the fairy tree. Sometimes there are fairies perched in the little clay pockets on the trunk. This is my favorite part of the studio and what I get to look at every day as I work at my desk. You'll also notice the area where I take a lot of my photos. The girls end up spending a lot of time there. It's been fun sharing my studio with you, and I hope you've enjoyed your visit here. Bye-bye for now.